Welcome to New Press True Crime. This is Arvin's. My wife calls me R. Sherlock Vines, but Arvin's is succinct enough. What I thought I would do, being that we're involved in true crime and elements of personalities of those who engage in crime, I thought I would read some snippets of some classic Greek mythology. So let me be brief. This was not the only story about the Narcissus. There was another, as magical, but quite different. The hero of it was a beautiful lad, whose name was Narcissus. His beauty was so great, all the girls who saw him longed to be his. But he would have none of them. He would pass the loveliest carelessly by, no matter how much she tried to make him look at her. Heartbroken maidens were nothing to him. Even the sad case of the fairest of the nymphs, Echo, did not move him. She was a favorite of Artemis, the goddess of woods and wild creatures. But she came under the displeasure of a still mightier goddess, Hera herself, who was at her usual occupation of trying to discover what Zeus, God, was about. She suspected that he was in love with one of the nymphs, and she wanted to look them over to try to discover which. Women always want to know. However, she was immediately diverted from her investigation by Echo's gay chatter. As she listened amused, the others silently stole away, and Hera could come to no conclusion as to where Zeus's wandering fancy had alighted. With her usual injustice, she turned against Echo. The nymph became another unhappy girl whom Hera punished. The goddess condemned her never to use her tongue again except to repeat what was said to her. You will always have the last word, Hera said, but no power to speak first. Now this is very hard. But hardest of all when Echo, too, with all the other lovelorn maidens, loved Narcissus. She could follow him, but she could not speak to him. How then could she make a youth who never looked at a girl pay attention to her? One day, however, it seemed her chance had come. He was calling to his companions, "Is anyone in here?" And she called back in rapture, "Here, here." She was still hidden by the trees so that he did not see her, and he shouted, "Come!" Just what she longed to say to him. She answered joyfully, "Come!" and stepped forth from the woods with her arms outstretched. But he turned away in angry disgust. "Not so," he said. "I will die before I give you power over me." But he was gone. She hid her blushes and her shame in a lonely cave and never could be comforted. Still she lives in places like that, and they say she has so wasted away with longing that only her voice now is left to her. So Narcissus went on his cruel way, a scorner of love. But at last, one of those he wounded prayed a prayer, and it was answered by the gods. May he who loves not others love himself. The great goddess Nemesis, which means righteous anger, undertook to bring this about. As Narcissus bent over a clear pool for a drink and saw there his own reflection, on the moment he fell in love with it. Now I know, he cried, what others have suffered from me, for I burn with love of my own self. And yet, how can I reach the loveliness I see mirrored in the water? But I cannot leave it. Only death can set me free. And so it happened. That's the end of this segment for News Press True Crime. Hopefully you enjoyed it and see some relevance to some of the issues that we are obliged to deal with in our true crime lives.